Good morning. I am A.S. Revati, PhD scholar, Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Karapakkam, Chennai. My guide, Dr. P.N. Lakshmi Shanmugam, Assistant Professor, Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Karapakkam, Chennai. Today, my topic, Cognitive Theory, for Bruner's theory. Objectives. After completing the module, the prospective teachers are able to understand and explain clearly the meaning of Bruner's theory, to understand various ways of learning such as activity, exploration, discovery, realize and explain clearly principles of learning, recognize and explain how this theory applies to education. Introduction. Bruner made a great contribution of educational psychology for cognitive theory to learning theories. James Bruner analyzed the implications of cultural psychology on education. Bruner wanted constructivist, individually focused education. James Bruner Sure. Bruner's theory. Jerome Simon Bruner has developed a cognitive model of learning. He was of opinion that a theory of learning should be prescriptive. It should hint regarding how aspects of learning that should be best learned. It should be a theory of instruction that should explain how explain takes place and strategies for improving learning. Jerome Simon Bruner அப்படின்றவர் தன்னுடைய The Process of Education அப்படின்ற நூல்ல கற்றல் கோட்பாடுகளை ரொம்ப தெளிவா எடுத்துரைச்சிருக்காரு. There are various ways of learning, such as activity, exploration, discovery. Activity method of learning provide an opportunity of students involved in the activity such that the end point is learning. It provided an opportunity for individual's attention. Each learner has freedom to express his or her ideas. It is based on the principles of learning by doing. In the exploration method, the facilities provided by the teachers also. The inclusiveness helps the learner to come out with new experiences. In discovery learning approach, the learner should be placed problem situations so that the learner seeks alternative solutions. In approach, the learner rearranges the subject matter structures so that he or she has better insight. Nowadays, discovery approaches is given much importance because its help for better effective memory is organizational learning. It makes learning intellectually stimulating. Bruner 1996 states that a theory of instruction should address four major aspects: ப்ரூனர் கற்றல் கோட்பாட்டுக்காக 4 முக்கியமான சிறப்புகளை வழங்கி இருக்கிறாரு. அந்த 4 சிறப்புகள் என்னென்ன அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா, predisposition of learning, structure of learning, effective sequencing, reinforcement. கற்றலுக்கு முந்தைய ஆர்வம், பாடப்பொருளின் வடிவமைப்பு, பாடப்பொருள் அமைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கும் முறை மற்றும் வலுப்படுத்துதல், இந்த 4 தான். Predisposition to learning. He introduced the ideas for readiness for learning. Instruction must be concerned with the experiences and context that make the student willing and able to learn. அதாவது கற்றலுக்கு முந்தைய ஆர்வம் அப்படிங்கிறது என்னன்னா, மாணவன் பள்ளியில சேரும் போது அவனுடைய முன் அனுபவங்களையும் பாட கருத்துக்களையும் எடுத்துக்கொள்ளணும். அப்பதான் மாணவன் கற்றலில் உள்ள ஆர்வம் ஏற்படும். Structure of learning. Instruction must be structured so that it can be easily grasped by the student. The way in which a body the knowledge can be structured so that it can be most readily grasped by the learner. பாடப்பொருள்களினுடைய வடிவமைப்பு. பாடப்பொருள் ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட குறிக்கோள் ஒட்டி அமைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கணும். அப்பதான் கற்றல் எளிதாக அமையும். Effective sequencing. Instruction should be designed to facilitate and extrapolations or fill the gaps. No one sequencing will fit every learner, but in general, the lessons can be presented in increasing difficulty. பாடப்பொருள் அமைக்கப்பட்டிருக்கும் முறையில பார்த்தோம்னா, மாணவர்கள் புரிந்து கொள்ளக்கூடிய அளவு வரிசைகரமாக பாடப்பொருள்கள் அமைக்கப்பட்டிருக்க வேண்டும். எளிமையானதுல இருந்து கடினமானதற்கு கற்கும் முறையில பாடப்பொருள்கள் அமைக்கப்பட்டிருக்க வேண்டும். Fourth one, reinforcement. Rewards and punishment should be selected and paced appropriately. வலுப்படுத்துதல். ஊக்குவித்தல் ஆசிரியரால் மாணவர்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட வேண்டும். அப்பொழுதுதான் மாணவர்கள் தன்னியல்பால் கற்றல் நிகழும். கற்றலானது மகிழ்ச்சியுடனும் ஆர்வத்துடனும் நிகழணும். அதற்கு பரிசு, புகழ்தல் ஆகியவற்றை பயன்படுத்தல் வேண்டும். Principles of learning. There are 4 things suggested by the Bruner are necessary to understand the process of learning. Readiness for learning. Readiness is important in learning. According to him, readiness refers to pre-requisition capability. Depending upon the situations or circumstances, it can be built up. Based upon this principle, any discipline can be taught in a simple form of any level in a meaningful manner. This is possible. This is possible only when the teacher knows how to match the learning text to his cognitive level. Selection, sequencing and structuring. Goal setting, task orientation. Selection of the subject matter is very necessary for effective learning. Even the sequences with which the content should be present is equally important. According to the Bruner, a good theory should suggest effective sequences in which the learning materials to be presented, but there cannot be a common sequences of the subject matter for all levels of students. While sequencing the subject matter, previous knowledge for the student, stages of development, etc. should be considered. Structure refers to the logical relationship of the ideas in the subject matter. Structure help for better memory and learning. Anything that is related properly and sequentially is easily to comprehend and to retain for a longer time. According to Bruner, structure of any body of knowledge depends on three related aspects for learning, namely mode of representation, economy, and the proper extent of logical way of presentation. Importance of reinforcement. Reinforcement refers to strengthening of responses. According to the Bruner, create the structure and holding power. Creator will the reinforcement. Even the model of presentation reinforce the learning. Even the feedback mechanism also help for better restructuring. Restructuring of the subject matter, which in turn induced better reinforcement. Goal achievement. Motivation is necessary for goal setting and self-reinforcement. It is the goal setting which helps people to evaluate their behavior. Self-satisfaction is a king of reward for the achievement of the goal. Goal achievement is also influenced by many factors. Rewards help in the achievement of goals. Depending upon the level of structures and also on the nature of the above mode of presentation can be selected.
Mode of representation. Mode of representation plays a very important role in learning. Mode refers to the specific way of presenting the subject matter by which learning becomes easier. Bruner has classified the mode of presentation under the three headings, namely inactive mode, iconic mode, symbolic mode. Mode of representation, example picture. Inactive, action based, iconic, image based, symbolic, language based. These three are also learning. Inactive mode, 0 to 3 years, is the mode in which creation set up appropriate to achieve the objectives to achieve is presented. In the mode, the learner provides with direct experiences. For example, teacher at the primary level take plan to the classroom or taking the children to a place where plants are able to explain the various parts of a plant. செயல் சார்ந்த அறிதல் நிலை அப்படின்றதுதான் inactive mode அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். செயல் மூலம் கற்றலை செய்தறிதல் நிலை என்றும் கூறுகிறார்கள். குழந்தைகளிடம் 3 வயது வரை இந்நிலை நீடிக்கிறது. குழந்தையானது பொருட்களை கையால் பிடித்தல், நகர்த்துதல், வாயில் வைத்தல் போன்றவைகளால் புற உலகை அறிந்து உடல் இயக்க திறன் இவ்வாறு வெளிப்படுகிறது. வார்த்தைகள் இல்லாத கல்வியை இந்நிலையில் கற்றுக்கொள்ளுகிறார்கள். உதாரணமா பார்த்தோம்னா சைக்கிள் ஓட்ட கத்துக்கிறது. Iconic mode, 3 to 7 years. It is the mode where in a set of summary or graphic that stands for a concept is provided. The second stage was called iconic, where learning can be obtained through using models and pictures. Example, a teacher drawing diagram of a plant to explain the various parts of the plant. உருவம் சார்ந்த அறிதல் நிலை அப்படின்றது ஐகானிக் மோடுன்னு சொல்லலாம். 3 வயதிலிருந்து 7 வயதுக்குள்ள இருக்கிற குழந்தைகளுடைய நிலை. குழந்தை வளர்ச்சியில 7 வயது வரை இந்த நிலை நீடிக்கிறது.
செயல் இல்லாத பொருட்களை அறிய குழந்தை கற்றுக்கொள்கிறது. ஒரு படம் அல்லது ஒரு பிம்பம் மூலமாக ஒரு பொருளை அறிகிறது. விலங்குகளின் தோற்றம், ஒளி போன்றவற்றை நினைவில் கொண்டு வந்து அறிந்து கொள்கிறது. வகுப்பில் யானை கதை சொன்னா அந்த யானையின் தோற்றத்தை மனதுக்கு கொண்டு வந்து கற்கிறது. Symbolic mode, 8 to 14 years. In this set of symbolic or logical proposal, it are presented to a concept. Example, a teacher writing the word tea on the board make the children to remember the parts of a plant. Writing equation or a formula. குறியீடு சார்ந்த அறிதல் நிலை. இந்நிலையில செயல், பிம்பம் மொழியாக வெளிவருகின்றன. அதாவது அனுபவங்கள் மொழி வாயிலாக வெளிவருகிறது. அவைகளை குழந்தையானது குறியீடுகள் கற்றுக்கொள்ள வேண்டும் போது திரும்பவும் நினைவு கூர்ந்து கற்க முடிகிறது. இதுதான் நம்ம சிம்பாலிக் மோடு அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். Example picture, inactive, iconic, unsymbolic. Kinds of thinking. Intuitive, analytical, and synthetic. Thinking is the manipulation of sensory input to reason how to solve problem and to pass value judgment. According to Bruner, development intuitive thinking should be one of the objective of scolding. Thinking helps in developing ability to arrive at reasonable but these formulations prior to any actual formal analysis. It helps in making intelligent guesses which may be true or not. Children should be encouraged to this kind of thinking. Bruner's discovery learning and instrumental conceptualism. James Bruner may be identified as a cognitive learning and development psychologist. His approach to psychology is eclectic but in a highly sophisticated sense. In 1960, Professor Bruner, The Process of Education was published. This book was a summary of the 1959 World's Holy Conference on the Teaching of Science. Bruner cross-cultural studies of cognition leads him to say that intelligence is to a great extent the internalization of tools provided by a given cultural variations in mode of thought. Summary. Bruner's theory. James Bruner has developed a cognitive model of learning. There are various ways of learning, such as activity, exploration, discovery. Mode of representation. Bruner has classified the mode of presentation under the three headings, namely inactive mode, iconic mode, symbolic mode. Principles of learning. There are 4 themes suggested by Bruner as necessary to understand the process of thinking. Readiness for learning, selection, sequencing, and structuring. Importance of reinforcement, goal achievement. And then kinds of thinking. Intuitive, analytical, and synthetic. Educational implications. The aim of education should be to create autonomous learners, that is, learning to learn. For Bruner, the purpose of education is not to impart knowledge, but instead to facilitate and child thinking and problem-solving skills, which can then be transferred to a range of situations. Specifically, education should also develop symbolic thinking in children. In 1960, Bruner's text, The Process of Education, was published. The main premise of Bruner's text was the students are active learners who construct their own knowledge. some references for books. Check your progress. True or false? Bruner presented his view on intellectual development. It's true or false? Answer is true. Bruner presented his views on intellectual development is correct one. Question number 2. According to Bruner, a children's play is a serious business. True or false? Answer is true. According to Bruner, a children's play is a serious business. Is it true? Thank you.